Okay, in this video, I want to show a couple things. One, some people ask me how I like to cook my steak, so I've got some steak cooking. I've got a little video that the guys from Juice Social hooked me up with, doing a little bit of training footage and some use of their infrared red light product, which I've used. And then I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the microbiome stuff that we see where this anti-red meat bias comes into play. We can see how interesting it is how they're shifting the goalposts. So the things that led me to look elsewhere outside of its mainstream medicine was my own health, quite honestly, and trying to figure out what made me feel, function, and perform the best. And so that led me towards a whole number of lifestyle interventions. Yeah, so I had been a lifelong athlete and a fairly successful athlete throughout my life, and I realized, somewhere around my mid to early 40s that I had to take a serious look at nutrition because training wasn't just cutting it anymore. I was developing signs of metabolic syndrome and other issues that go with that. And so I started experimenting with first diet. Okay, those steaks were cooked on the Auto Wild grill. I've gotten to where I've gotten pretty proficient at it. Those are a couple thick ribeye steaks, and so what I'm finding that the way it works for me really well is that I, get the grill hot. It gets to 1500 degrees. That usually takes about 2 minutes. So I turn it on, wait about 2 minutes, and then the drip pan underneath has put a little water in there so it doesn't smoke. That water basically starts boiling because it's so hot. Then I throw the steaks in there. Usually, I do 2 steaks at a time. I put them in around about 2 minutes, and then I might rotate it once because the heat at the back of the oven is going to be a little hotter than the heat at the front because it's open out the front. And so I find that just rotating it once, keeping it at the very lowest setting, I found if I put it too close to the top, then it gets too quickly, you can actually burn it. And so I keep it low, about 2 minutes or so. I just watch it and see where it gets the sear you want, and then I just flip it over, and often I'll throw a little salt on there, and then just do the other side, and then that's it. I mean, it literally, the steaks take about, from the time you put it in, 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes for a beautifully seared steak like you saw in the picture. I often eat mine rare to medium rare is kind of how I prefer them. So anyway, that's how that happens. Now let's talk a little about microbiome. And so we have heard now for the last 3 or 4 years that it's all about microbial diversity and that you have to have a diverse microbiome for the gut to be healthy. And it's dependent upon these special fiber-loving bacteria that provide this rich diversity, and therefore those bacteria will then provide short-chain fatty acids, which will then protect the colonic mucosa. Well, what's coming out in this study that I'll link in the bio, and a number of them shown this now, is that they're finding out that people on eating high meat diets, and we've seen that even with some of the Inuit populations, that their microbial diversity is just as diverse as everybody else. And so this kind of runs counter to that theory that the diversity is why the microbiome is helpful. And what it really shows is that we think diversity is good, but wait a minute, people that eat meat also have a diverse microbiome too. So that can't be right, because everybody knows meat is bad for us, right? So we can't possibly have a theory now, so now we have to change our theory. And so we see this time and time again. So now what they're proposing, what this paper says, well, it's all about GI transit time. We know that eating a high fiber diet, the food just rushes right through you, and therefore it sort of allows for colonic mucosa to form, which is, again, all basically theoretical nonsense, just used to sort of say this is how we're going to continue to prop up our bias that meat is bad for us. And while it is true that when you eat a meat-based diet, your gastrointestinal transit time will slow down somewhat. But the reason that occurs is because your body is actually trying to extract the nutrition from all of it. That is to say, everything it needs is in the meat, and so it's extracting it, slowing it down to make sure you get all the nutrition out of there, and that's a good thing. Now, with the fiber, your body's like, I don't need this crap. Let's just get rid of it and pass it through. And so that is, not why we're supposed to be eating. We're not supposed to be eating just so we can poop. I mean, that's kind of what you're coming to. Eat a high fiber diet so you poop more. Craziness, absolute craziness. How about you eat to nourish yourself? So anyway, we see this latest bias. Every time we see a study that conflicts with, the prevailing theory about why red meat is bad, and then they have to change their theory. We saw it with heme iron. We saw studies out there that, oh, wait a minute, heme iron doesn't seem to cause colorectal cancer. Well, then maybe it's some other factor in meat. And so we just see this over and over again, this constant bias in the nutrition field where they've got to just demonize meat because they believe it, and partly because, remember, many people in the nutrition science world are these Seventh-day Adventists. There's vegans, there's vegetarians. I've said this before. The people that authored that position statement from the American Dietetics and Nutritionists Association. All three of those people, the ones that said a plant-based diet is appropriate for all ages and stages, all three of the authors were vegans for the animals and Seventh-day Adventists. So I mean, it's just, you see it over in this bias. So anyway, that's all I want to say on that. More to come. Like, subscribe, check out the link. I've got a couple links in there you guys can check out. Some neat stuff coming on. I'm really excited about some stuff you guys will be hearing about more. Anyway, I hope everybody's having a good day, and we'll talk to you later.